The Prime Minister says it was disgraceful for his predecessor to order public servants to release an election day statement on asylum seekers. Anthony Albanese says it was a clear breach of caretaker conventions and a desperate attempt to politicise border security while votes were being cast. Meanwhile, the Nationals are set for a leadership challenge on Monday, with at least one MP confirming he will seek the top job. Let's talk to political reporter Henry Bello now. Hi, Henry. Let's start with Anthony Albanese's comments then. He's unhappy with this statement on asylum seekers being issued. Just remind us how this happened.
Well, the Prime Minister is clearly very aggrieved about this. Let's just step through the events as they happened. If we go back to election day, Scott Morrison, in one of his final press conferences as Prime Minister, confirmed that Australian authorities had intercepted an asylum seeker boat that was travelling from Sri Lanka to Australia. Then, subsequently, we had a statement that was issued by the commander of Operation Sovereign Borders, confirming that operation, which was still ongoing. Now, it's that statement that is particularly noteworthy for a couple of reasons, Ros. One is that we don't normally hear a lot about on-water matters and current operations as they are going. And then there's also the fact that public service departments were in caretaker mode during this time. Of course, politically, an incredibly sensitive time when many people were going and actually casting their ballots. Then what happened after that is text messages appeared from the Liberal Party drawing people's attention to this matter as they were going in to vote. Now, the ABC has been told by multiple sources that the instruction for that media release to be issued came from the Prime Minister's office, because there's a clear inclination there that it's what they wanted people to be thinking about as they were going in to vote. Now, Scott Morrison has not commented on this story, nor has the Home Affairs Department. They have pointed out that this issue is under review from the Secretary of the Department. Clearly, Anthony Albanese today, after hearing that confirmation, very aggrieved about this and says that it's a clear breach of caretaker preventions. He's also accused Scott Morrison of desperately trying to politicise border security to try and win votes in the dying days of an election. Let's have a listen to how Anthony Albanese put it while speaking with AM earlier this morning.
The Prime Minister's office contacted my office in the middle of Saturday. We indicated that it would be entirely inappropriate for this event to be politicised. It's a clear breach of the caretaker conventions, and this is a government and a former Prime Minister who used to stand up and say he wouldn't comment on water matters.
And Henry, there'll be a showdown in the Nationals party room on Monday.
Yeah, the Nationals party room meetings are normally pretty lively at the best of time, Ros. This one on next week, on Monday, could be particularly so because it is now confirmed that there will be a leadership challenge to Barnaby Joyce's position at the top of the party. So far, we only have one MP who's put his name forward, and that is the Gippsland MP, Darren Chester. Now, he's somebody that openly admits that he doesn't get along well with Barnaby Joyce, who of course demoted him twice, but he's also made some broader comments about the direction of the party. Yes, it held on to its seats at this election, unlike its coalition partner in the Liberals, but Mr Chester believes that its brand has been damaged, that it's not engaging with younger voters on issues like climate change, but also that it had a drag on the Liberal vote in some of the cities. And that is a problem if you're in a coalition, because if you're damaging the partner, then you're ultimately not able to secure government. Now, Mr Chester is pretty realistic about his prospects of winning this ballot. He says there hasn't been a Victorian leader of the Nationals in half a century, so let's put that into context. But there's also a number of other people who are likely or expected to put their names forward. Let's just think about the Deputy Leader, David Littleproud. He's long been seen as a future leader. Now, he hasn't said which way he will go. And then there's the former leader, Michael McCormack. Well, he's been very critical of Barnaby Joyce in recent days. Now, Mr Joyce does have supporters in the room, so you would expect over today and the weekend there'll be lots of vote counting and discussions about where people's loyalties lie before that meeting on Monday morning.
I think it's healthy for our room if several candidates put their hands up. There's people like David Littleproud you just mentioned, Michael McCormack, a former leader, Keith Pitts had leadership aspirations in the past, Michelle Landry, a real champion up there in Capricornia, who's won her seat against the odds. Anne Webster has told people she's interested in the deputy role. I think we'll have a new look National Party team on Monday. I think it's time for a change. It'll just be a question of whether the colleagues see me as part of that or whether they go for someone else.
And there's been a conversation, Henry, between the French president and Anthony Albanese.
Yeah, a phone call between Emmanuel Macron and Anthony Albanese last night, and it does appear that there's something of a diplomatic reset going on here. If you look at the transcript from this conversation from the French side, well, Emmanuel Macron acknowledging that there was a breach of trust with the former Morrison government, particularly around the issue of submarines. Of course, the Australian government cancelled a $90 billion deal to construct these submarines. The French were furious about that, not just that it was cancelled, but the way in which it was handled by Australia. Now, in the statement that's come out, the French say that they are looking forward to rebuilding trust, a closer collaboration between the two nations and focusing on areas of mutual benefit. Now, the fact a phone call happened is actually newsworthy because for a long time there was no phone calls between Mr. Macron and Mr. Morrison. Now, some of these comments have also been echoed by the French ambassador to Australia, Jean-Pierre Tabot, who was speaking on RN Breakfast earlier today. He was quite welcoming of the fact that an Albanese government would be taking a more ambitious emission reduction target in the short term. He said that was something the French government wanted to see. He also spoke about a closer relationship in the Indo-Pacific, and that's going to be really, really key, as we'll be hearing later today and in this program. China, a growing influence in the Pacific. The French are an important partner there. If this relationship can be healed, that goes a long way to strengthening Australia's influence in the region too.
Thanks, Henry.